Good morning, class. So today we will discuss respiratory system. So what is respiration? So respiration involves four processes: the ventilation, the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the air in the lungs and the blood, the transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the blood, and the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the blood and the tissues. So what are the functions of respiratory system? So we have four major functions. The first one is the regulation of the blood pH. Kaya meron din tayong tinatawag na respiratory acidosis and respiratory alkalosis. So it's very important to regulate the blood pH. So the respiratory system can alter the blood pH by changing blood carbon dioxide level. So it is also involved in the voice production. So air movement past the vocal cords and make sound and speech possible. It is also for olfaction or smell. It is a sensation of smell occurs when airborne molecules are drawn into the nasal cavity, and for innate immunity. So the respiratory system protects against some microorganisms and other pathogens such as viruses by preventing them from entering the body and by removing them by respiratory surfaces. So ang ating first line of defense sa ating respiratory system are our nostrils. So our nostrils have cilia, that prevents the entry of microorganism to the lungs. Okay, so what are the anatomy of the respiratory system? So the respiratory system can be divided into two divisions, the upper respiratory tract and our lower respiratory tract. So the upper respiratory tract includes the nose, the pharynx, and our larynx, while our lower respiratory tract involves the trachea, bronchi, and our lungs. So for our upper respiratory tract, we have our nose. So the nose can be divided into two parts, the external nose and the nasal cavity. So the external nose is composed of hyaline cartilage, while our nasal cavity is lined with stratified squamous epithelium containing coarse hair and pseudostratified columnar epithelia that contain cilia and mucus-producing goblet cells. So what is the anatomy of the nose? So we have the nares or nostril, which is the external openings of the nose, the funnel or choane, the openings in the pharynx, the nasal septum, or the partition dividing the nasal cavity into right and left. We also have the hard palate, which forms the floor of the nasal cavity that separates the cavity when the oral cavity is closed or full of food. Then we have the conchae or concha, the prominent bony ridges present on the lateral walls on each side of the nasal cavity. We also have the paranasal sinus. It is an air-filled spaces within the bone and includes the maxillary, frontal, ethmoidal, and the sphenoidal sinuses. And lastly, we have the nasolacrimal ducts. So this is the ducts that carry the tears from the eyes and also opens into the nasal cavity. So sneeze reflex. So it dislodges foreign substances from the nasal cavity. So our nose has sensory receptors that detect foreign substances, and action potentials are conducted along the trigeminal nerves, the medulla oblongata, where the reflex is triggered. So during sneeze reflex, the uvula and the soft palate are depressed, so bumababa, so that rapidly flowing air from the lungs is directed primarily to the nasal passages. So there are two types of sneeze reflex, the photic and the pupillary. So the photic sneeze reflex is stimulated by exposure to bright light such as the sun, and it happens for 17 to 25% of people. So the ATRU sound has a acronym, which is autosomal dominant compelling helio-ophthalmic outburst. Then the next one is the pupillary, or the one that causes the pupils to constrict in response to bright light. Next organ is our pharynx. So it is also known as our throat. It is the common passage for both the respiratory and our digestive system. So the air from the nasal cavity and air, food, and water from the mouth passes through our throat. So the pharynx can be divided into three parts: the nasopharynx, the oropharynx, and our laryngopharynx or hypopharynx. So our nasopharynx, from the word itself, so it is in the lung. It is in the nose. So it is a superior part of the pharynx, located posterior to the choanae and superior to the soft palate. So it contains the opening to the auditory tube and the pharyngeal tonsils, lined with pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium, while our oropharynx is the one that extends from the uvula to the epiglottis, and the oral cavity opens in the oropharynx and contains the palatine and lingual tonsils. So the food and the drinks and all the air that comes from the mouth passes here, and it is lined with stratified squamous epithelium, while our laryngopharynx passes posterior to the larynx and extends from the tip of the epiglottis to the esophagus. So food and drink pass through the laryngopharynx to the esophagus, and it is also lined with stratified squamous epithelium and ciliated columnar epithelium. Then we have our larynx, or also known as our voice box. So it is located anterior the throat and extends from the base of the tongue, and it also houses our vocal cords. So the three main functions of the larynx is to maintain an open airway, protect the airway during swallowing, and produce voice. So the vocal folds that are located inside the larynx are the primary source of voice production. So the air moving past the vocal folds causes them to vibrate, producing sound, and muscles control the length and tension of our vocal folds. So this is the vocal folds, or the true vocal cords, this one. Then we have our false vocal cord, the vestibular folds. So the force of air moving past the vocal folds controls the loudness, and tension controls the pitch of the voice. So there are two sets of ligaments that are found in the larynx that extend from the posterior surface of the thyroid cartilage to the pericartilage. So like what I've said, we have the vestibular fold, or the false vocal cord, and the vocal folds, or the true vocal cord. So ang ating vestibular are superior, while our vocal cords are inferior. Then our larynx also contains 9 cartilages. So there are 3 single cartilage and 3 paired cartilage. So for our 3 single cartilage, we have the thyroid, the cricoid, and our epiglottis. So among these 3 single cartilage, the largest one is the thyroid cartilage, which is also known as Adam's apple, followed by the cricoid, which is the most inferior of the 3, and the epiglottis, which contains elastic cartilage rather than hyaline cartilage. So this cartilage is the one that protects the airway during swallowing. Then for our 3 pairs of cartilage, we have the cuneiform, which is the top cartilage, the corniculate, which is the middle, and the arytenoid, which is the bottom cartilage. Then we have our trachea. So it is also known as the windpipe. It is a membranous tube attached to the larynx that allows air to flow into the lungs. So it is consists of connective tissue and smooth muscle reinforced with 16 to 20 C-shaped hyaline cartilage. So the adult trachea is about 1.4 to 1.6 centimeter in diameter and about 10 to 11 centimeter long. So the trachea is lined with mucous membrane of pseudostratified columnar epithelium that contains cilia and goblet cells. So the cilia is the one that sweep the mucus embedded with foreign particles into pharynx where it is swallowed. So kanina, if we have a sneeze reflex, sa trachea naman, we have the cough reflex. So there are sensory receptors that detect foreign substances and action potentials travel along the vagus nerve, the medulla oblongata where the cough reflex is triggered. So during cough, the smooth muscles of the trachea contracts that decreases the diameter and this makes the air moves rapidly to the trachea and help expel the mucus and the foreign substances. Then we have our bronchi. So the trachea divides into the right main, right main and left main bronchi, in which they are both connected to the right and left lung. So the left main bronchus is more horizontal than the right because it is displaced by the heart. And the foreign objects that enter the trachea usually lodge in the right main bronchus because it is wider, shorter, and more vertical than the left main bronchus and is more direct line with the trachea. So our bronchi is lined with pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium and are supported by C-shaped pieces of cartilages. So, hindi ko na nabanggit, but we have the primary bronchi, then followed by secondary bronchi. Then it branches more to become the tertiary bronchi, and the smaller branches that we called now as the bronchioles. And the main principal organ of respiration is our lungs. So each lung is cone-shaped with its base resting on the diaphragm and its apex extending superiorly to a point about 2.5 centimeter above the clavicle. So our right lung has 3 lobes, while our left lung has only 2 lobes. So right lung has the superior, middle, and inferior lobe, while the left lung only have the superior and inferior lobe. So each lobe is divided into bronchopulmonary segments separated from one another by a connective tissue, septa. Then our tracheobronchial tree consists of main bronchi and many branches. So like what I've said, we have the branches into smaller parts. So we have the lobar bronchi, which is the secondary. Then it becomes segmental bronchi or the tertiary. Then into smaller branches, which is the bronchioles. Then beneath the bronchioles, we have the alveolar ducts. Then we have the alveoli. So they are the small air-filled chambers where the air and the blood come into close contact with each other, and it has about 300 million in the lungs. Then lastly, we have the alveolar sacs that are the chambers connected to 2 or more alveoli. So this alveoli and alveolar sacs, para siyang grapes. Yan. So ito siya. Yan. So grapes. Yan. So this is where the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen happens in the blood. Then, so as the air passageways of the lungs become smaller, the structure of their wall changes. So the amount of cartilage decreases and the amount of the smooth muscle increases. So this usually can be seen in the terminal bronchioles, wherein there is a prominent smooth muscle layer and does not have any cartilage. So relaxation and contraction of smooth muscles within the bronchi and bronchioles can change the diameter of the air passageway. Then we have respiratory membrane wherein the gas exchange between the air and blood takes place. It is formed mainly by the walls of the alveoli and the surrounding capillaries, and it is consists of two simple squamous epithelium, the alveolar fluid and the separating spaces. And the elastic fibers surrounding the alveoli allow them to expand during its inspiration and recoil during expiration. Then we have our pleural cavity. So when we say cavity, so it is the one that protects the lungs from trauma. Yan. So lungs is surrounded by a pleural cavity and it is lined with a serous membrane called the pleura. And this pleura has two parts, the parietal and the visceral. So the parietal pleura lines the wall of the thorax, diaphragm, and the mediastinum, while our visceral is the one that covers the surfaces of the lung. So we can say that the parietal pleura is the outer cavity and the visceral is the inner layer cavity. So this pleural cavity between the parietal and visceral pleura is filled with a small volume of pleural fluid produced by the pleural membrane. So this pleural fluid acts as a lubricant, allowing the visceral and parietal pleura to slide past each other as the lung and thorax change shape during respiration. And it also helps hold the pleural membranes together. So what are the lymphatic supply of the lung? So there are two supply. We have the superficial lymphatic vessels that are deep to the visceral pleura and the deep lymphatic vessels that follows the bronchi and drains lymph from the bronchi and associated connective tissues. So there are no lymphatic vessels that are located in the walls of the alveoli. And both these lymphatic supplies exits the lung at the main bronchi. Then what is ventilation and respiratory volume? So when we say ventilation, this is the process of moving air into and out of the lung. So the ventilation is regulated by changes in the thoracic volume, which produces change to air pressure within the lungs. So there are two phases of ventilation, the inspiration and expiration. So when we say inspiration, it is the movement of air into the lungs, while expiration is the releasing of air out of the lungs. Yan. So changing thoracic volume. So muscles associated with the ribs are responsible for ventilation. So for muscle of inspiration, this includes the diaphragm and the muscles that elevates the ribs and sternum, such as the external intercostal muscles, which it increases the volume of the thoracic cavity. So during labored breathing, additional muscles of inspiration increase the rib movement, while the muscles of expiration includes the internal intercostal muscles and depresses the ribs and the sternum. So the expiration can be passive or active. So it depends. So for passive expiration, it happens during quiet breathing. And active expiration happens during labored breathing, where when the diaphragm relaxes and the internal intercostal and abdominal muscles depress the rib cage to forcefully decrease the volume of the thoracic cavity. So this usually happens during exercise. Pressure changes and airflow. So there are two physical principles govern the flow of air into and out of the lung. So changes in volume result in changes in pressure. So as the volume increases, the pressure decreases. So and vice versa. So if the volume decreases, the pressure will increase. And if the air flows from an area of higher pressure to an area of lower pressure. So if the pressure is higher at one end of a tube, the air or fluid flows from the area of higher pressure toward the area of lower pressure. So the greater the pressure difference, the greater the rate of airflow. So the volume and pressure changes responsible for one cycle of inspiration and expiration can be described. At the end of expiration, alveolar pressure is equal to our atmospheric pressure. So during inspiration, the volume of the thoracic cavity increases when the muscles of the inspiration contract. This increases thoracic volume and decreases the pressure in the alveoli below atmospheric pressure. And by the end of inspiration, the thorax and the alveoli stop expanding. When the alveolar pressure and atmospheric pressure become equal, airflow stops. So during expiration, the thoracic cavity volume decreases. This allows the alveolar pressure to increase above atmospheric pressure and air flows out of the alveoli. So pag bumaba yung thoracic cavity volume, magre-release na ng air from the alveoli. Lung recoil. So, di ba ang ating lungs ay nag-expand during inspiration. So, after expiration, the lungs will recoil. So, lung recoil is a tendency for an expanded lung to decrease in size. It is due to the elastic properties of its tissue and because the alveolar fluid has surface tension. So surface tension exists because the opposite charge ends of water molecules are attracted to each other. So there are two factors that keep the lung from collapsing, the surfactant and our pleural pressure. So our surfactant is very important because it reduces surface tension. So without surfactant, the surface tension caused the alveoli to recoil can be 10 times greater than when surfactant is present. So, surfactant is very important, especially in newborn. So, kapag pinanganak ang isang bata na premature, yan, hindi pa complete yun lang. So, hindi pa sila nakakapag-release ng surfactant sa lung. So, nahihirapan silang huminga. So, kung napapansin nyo, yung mga bata, they are intubated and they are given surfactant that are being injected into their body. Yan. So, the lungs will function well. So, surfactant greatly reduces the tendency of the lungs to collapse. So, without surfactant, our premature baby will have lung problems and it can cause death or fatalities. So the next factor is we have is the pleural pressure. So the pressure in the pleural cavity is less than the alveolar pressure. So the alveoli tend to expand. So the pleural pressure is lower than the alveolar pressure because of a suction effect caused by fluid removal by the lymphatic system and by lung recoil. So when the pleural pressure is lower than the alveolar pressure, the alveoli tend to expand. So changing alveolar volume. So with the use of the spirometry, it is a process of measuring volumes of air that move into and out of the respiratory system. And the machine that we use is called as the spirometer. So it is a device that measures this respiratory volume. So during the procedure, you will be asked to breathe, inhale so much, then release it in a second. Then they will measure the volume and the capacity of your lungs. Yan. So respiratory volumes are the measures of amount of air movement during different portions of ventilation. So while respiratory capacity is the sum of two or more respiratory volumes. So the total volume of air contained in the respiratory system ranges from 4 to 6 liters. So during spirometry, sabihin sa'yo nung respi therapist, hit, buga. So, pahingahin ka. So, hanggang pinakakaya mong mag-inhale ng air, tapos bigla mo siyang ibubuga. Then, nakakonect siya, yung tube sa computer, merong machine, may device, and they will check may measure doon yung may graph na lalabas dun sa screen and madedetect nila kung hanggang saan lang yung capacity ng lungs. So there are 4 respiratory volumes and 4 capacities. So the 4 respiratory volumes are the tidal volume, the inspiratory reserve volume, the expiratory reserve volume, and residual volume. So our tidal volume is the volume of air inspired or expired with each breath. So at rest, quiet breathing results in a tidal volume of about 500 ml. While our inspiratory reserve, it means the amount of air that can be inspired or inhaled forcefully beyond the resting tidal volume. So the normal amount of air can be around 3,000 ml, while the expiratory reserve or the amount of air that can be exhaled forcefully is around 1,100 ml. And the residual volume is the volume of air still remaining in the respiratory passages and lungs after maximum expiration. So always remember na after exhaling, hindi naman lahat ng air ay nilalabas mo. So meron pa ding natitira sa alveoli. So there are still air that remains in the lungs. So it's about 1,200 ml. So the tidal volume increases during physical activity. So the increase in tidal volume reduces the inspiratory and expiratory reserve volumes, but total lung capacity stays relatively constant. Then we have the 4 respiratory capacity. The first one is the functional residual capacity, which is the expiratory reserve volume plus the residual volume. So it is the amount of air remaining in the lungs at the end of a normal expiration, while inspiratory capacity is the tidal volume plus the inspiratory reserve volume, which is the amount of air a person can inspire maximally after a normal expiration. It's about 3,500 ml at rest or during quiet breathing. Then we have vital capacity, which is the sum of the inspiratory reserve volume, tidal volume, and expiratory reserve volume. So the maximal volume of air that a person can expel from the respiratory tract after maximum inspiration. Then in this vital capacity, we can also measure the forced expiratory vital capacity, which is the rate at which lung volume changes during direct measure of the vital capacity. And lastly, TLC or total lung capacity. It is the sum of the inspiratory and expiratory reserves and tidal and residual volume. So the total lung capacity is also equal to the vital capacity plus the residual volume. Next is gas exchange. So the gas exchange across the respiratory membrane is influenced by 3 factors. So the first one is respiratory membrane thickness, followed by surface area, and lastly we have the partial pressure. So how gas moves in the lung. So oxygen diffuses from the alveoli into the pulmonary capillaries because of the partial oxygen in the alveoli is greater than in the pulmonary capillaries. So carbon dioxide diffuses from the pulmonary capillaries into the alveoli because of partial carbon dioxide. It's greater in the pulmonary capillaries than in the alveoli. So during slow breathing, it increases the breathing rate, and this increases the partial oxygen in the alveoli. While in labored breathing, oxygen diffusion increase difference between partial pressure between the alveoli and pulmonary capillary, and there is a decrease in partial oxygen in the pulmonary vein. But in a normal quiet breathing, there is an increased breathing rate, lower partial carbon dioxide in the alveoli, and increased rate of carbon dioxide diffusion from the pulmonary capillaries into the alveoli. movement of gases in the tissue. So carbon dioxide diffuses from a higher partial pressure into tissues, a lower partial pressure in the tissue capillary. So the carbon dioxide diffuses from a higher partial pressure in the pulmonary capillaries to a lower partial pressure in the alveoli. Okay, so oxygen transport. So about 98.5% of the oxygen transported in the blood combines reversibly with the iron-containing heme group of hemoglobin, while about 1.5% of the oxygen remains dissolved in the plasma. So the amount of oxygen released from the oxyhemoglobin is increased by 4 factors. So low PO2, high PCO2, low pH, and high temperature. While carbon dioxide transport and blood pH. So CO2 is transported in 3 ways. So in a solution as plasma, it can also be transported in combination with blood protein, and mostly they are transported by a bicarbonate ion. So in the tissue capillaries, the carbon dioxide combines with water inside the RBC to form the carbonic acid that dissociates to form the bicarbonate and the hydrogen. So this reaction promotes the transport of carbon dioxide. Laging tatandaan, ang carbon dioxide are being transported in the blood by bicarbonate. So in lung capillaries, the bicarbonate combines with hydrogen to form the carbonic acid, and this carbonic acid dissociates to form carbon dioxide, which diffuses out of the RBC. So as the blood CO2 level increase, the blood pH decreases, so it becomes acidic, and as blood CO2 levels decrease, the blood pH increases, so it becomes alkalotic. So changes in breathing change blood CO2 levels and pH. Kaya meron tayong tinatawag na hypoventilation and hyperventilation. Then we have rhythmic breathing. So the normal breathing rate in an adult is between 12 and 20 breaths per minute, while for children, they are much higher, around 20 to 40 breaths per minute. So the rate of breathing is determined by the number of times the respiratory muscles are stimulated. So the basic rhythm of breathing is controlled by the neurons within the medulla oblongata that stimulate the muscles of respiration. So what are the respiratory areas in the brainstem? So there are 2 medullary respiratory center. We have the 2 dorsal respiratory group that is responsible for stimulating contraction of the diaphragm, and the 2 ventral respiratory group that is responsible for stimulating the external intercostal, internal intercostal, and abdominal muscles. In the brain, we have the Pre-Botzinger complex, which is known to establish the basic rhythm of breathing. So, kapag nagkaroon ng problem sa Pre-Botzinger complex, so usually nahihirapan huminga. So, it is very important that there is no problem in the Pre-Botzinger complex. Then we also have the pontine respiratory group. It is a collection of neurons in the pons. It has connections with the medullary respiratory center and appears to play a role in switching between inspiration and expiration. So generation of rhythmic breathing involves starting inspiration, increasing inspiration, and stopping inspiration. So what is the nervous control of breathing? So the higher brain centers can modify the activity of the respiratory center, and emotion and speech production affects the breathing. So di ba kapag meron tayong anxiety or panic attack, mas nahihirapan huminga, pakiramdam mo, hinahabol mo yung iyong hininga. So it makes things hard for you. The breathing is hard. Mas mabilis yung heart rate diba, during that time. Then we also have the touch, thermal, and pain receptors in the skin that also stimulate the respiratory center. That is explain why we gasp in response to being splashed with cold water or being pinched. Then lastly, we have the Hering-Brewer reflex that supports rhythmic respiratory movements by limiting the extent of inspiration. So in infants, the Hering-Brewer reflex plays an important role in regulating the basic rhythm of breathing and in preventing overinflation of the lungs. While in adult, the reflex is important only when the tidal volume is large, as occurs during heavy exercise. So what are the chemical control of breathing? So carbon dioxide is the major chemical regulator of breathing. So an increase in blood carbon dioxide causes a decrease in blood pH and results in increased breathing. So low blood levels of oxygen can also stimulate chemoreceptors in the carotid and aortic bodies, thus increases breathing. Then the chemoreceptors found in the medulla oblongata responds to changes in the blood pH. So this usually happens if there is an increase in or decrease in carbon dioxide. So, what are the effects of exercise in breathing? So it can be divided into two phases. Breathing increases abruptly and breathing increases gradually. So during breathing increases abruptly, the increase can be as much as 50% of the total increase that will occur. And it happens too quickly to be explained by changes in the metabolism or blood gases. So after a period of training, the brain will learn to match the breathing with the intensity of the exercise. So nag-a-adapt yung ating brain. So para makahinga ng mas tama. And breathing increases gradually. So breathing continues to increase gradually and then levels off within 46 minutes after the onset of exercise. So the highest level of exercise that can be performed without causing a significant change in blood pH is the anaerobic threshold. So kapag nag-exceed na yung anaerobic threshold, the skeletal muscle will produce lactate. So the release of lactate in the blood contributes to decrease in blood pH and increased breathing. So when this happens, namamaga yung ating mga muscles after exercise. Respiratory adaptation to exercise. So athletic performance increases because the cardiovascular and the respiratory system becomes more efficient at delivering oxygen and picking up carbon dioxide. So nag-a-adapt yung ating body after exercise. And if you do it religiously and every day or regularly, so with regular exercise, the vital capacity increases slightly and the residual volume decreases slightly. While at rest, the tidal volume and does not change but increases during maximal exercise. And increased efficiency of the respiratory system in response to regular exercise is evident. So in athletes, the respiratory rate is usually increased, but their heart rate is usually decreased. Minute volume is affected by changes in the tidal volume and breathing rate. So minute volume is essentially unchanged or slightly reduced at rest and slightly reduced during normal activities but greatly increased at maximal exercise in athletes. So what are the effects of aging on the respiratory system? So once we age, the vital capacity and maximum minute ventilation decreases because there is the respiratory muscles weaken and the thoracic cage becomes stiff and the residual volume and dead space increases because the diameter of the respiratory passageway increases. And an increase in resting tidal volume compensates for the increased dead space. So when we say dead space, ito yung space sa lungs na dinadaanan ng air pero it is not involved in the transportation and gas exchange. So there will be loss of alveolar walls and thickening of the alveolar walls. And the ability to remove mucus from the respiratory passageway decreases with age. So it's the end of our lecture. I hope you learned something today. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.